Hello, I'm Randy Pruitt from the Richland County Building Codes and Inspections Department, and I'm here with some of my staff, and what we want to do today is just kind of give you a walkthrough on a house and what we look for on a final inspection for typical code installations. If you would, if you just follow me. When people typically come home in the evening times, they wonder how, or they don't even think about it when they turn on their light switch. The reason why the light switch is located and adjacent to the entry door is because the code requires it to be there in what's called a commonly placed wall location. This is to prevent the homeowner from having to search or to look for an area to turn on the light in the darkness. Also, the code requires what's called a thumb latch deadbolt. These people want to put a double key deadbolt on here, thinking it's more secure, but what it does is prevent you to getting out of your home in case of a fire. That's why the code requires a thumb latch, so there's no use of a tool or a key in order to exit your home.
We check the outlets we test them to make sure that they're properly wired. We also are concerned about the fact that they are arc fault protected. This little device gives us a lot of information as to the voltage, line drop, ohms, and all kinds of things. So it gives us a lot of information that's very valuable to us. In addition to that, we look to make sure that there are adequate outlets in the room. And the code says that they're a maximum of 12 feet apart or within 6 feet of a door. If we've got a wall that's 2 feet long or longer, it's required to have a receptacle in that as well. We also look to make sure that there are smoke detectors in each sleeping room, and that smoke detector is required to be a maximum of 12 inches from the highest point in the room, and in this case with a tray ceiling it's positioned right at the 12 inches. In addition to the electrical, we want to make sure that each sleeping room has a window that is designated as egress or means of egress in case of an emergency. And the code has certain requirements about the size of that opening. One window in every sleeping room is required to be designated or required to be used for egress or exiting purposes in emergencies. We typically test the outlets in the bathroom areas. The Gfci, or ground fault circuit interrupter, is the proper name for it, and what that does is it tests the outlet to make sure that in the case of an emergency, an example, if you were to put a hairdryer in and it dropped out of your hand and fell into the sink, it would shut the breaker off instantaneously to make sure that you weren't shocked or electrocuted. So the device has a special place on it where we can actually test that. It said it took 40 milliseconds to trip the breaker. If you were to drop something in there, or if you had a cord that had a bad connection or had a frayed wire on it and your hands were wet and you touched that, it would also trip that breaker. All of these systems are in place to keep people from being electrocuted. We also look to make sure that at least 50% of the light bulbs in the house are energy efficient, either LED or CFLs, and that is part of the 2009 Energy Code requirements.
Okay, this is a heating and air return for the heating and air system. This helps circulate the air throughout the house. Over here we have a smoke carbon monoxide combination detector. Combination detector is a minimum of 3 feet away from an air intake or vent, so the air around the smoke or carbon monoxide detector does not get disturbed. And the reason carbon monoxide detector is required is because there's a garage downstairs. At the base of your stairs, by code, you have to have a light switch that illuminates the stairway as you're going up. And also, by code, you have to have a switch at the top of the stairs. So once you get up the stairs, you don't have to run back downstairs to cut the light off. You have a set of stairs here that has 4 or more risers or steps. It's required to have a guardrail, handrail combination, which is what we have here. The handrail is required to be 34 to 38 inches in height, and also have tickets that are maximum space 4 inches on center. I like to take my fist, because that's about 4 inches. And if I can't get my fist through there, they're pretty much right. So your baby's head won't get stuck in between the rails. Each step up is also called a riser. Maximum riser height in South Carolina is 7 3/4 inches for wood steps, and 8 inches if you're using masonry steps. The top of the stairs is called the tread, and the maximum depth on that is 10 inches. Here we have the hallway. As we're walking down the hallway, we want to make sure it's at least a minimum of 3 feet wide. It also has at least a minimum of 1 receptacle if it's more than 10 feet.
Here we have a fireplace. And under the old code, the shutoff should have been outside the firebox, but within 6 feet. Under the new code, this shutoff is now allowed to be inside the firebox.
As you can see here, we got GFCI protected receptacles, the same as we had in the restrooms upstairs or the bathrooms upstairs. These would serve the same exact purpose as the bathrooms. You have hot and cold running water in all your kitchen sinks. Over here we have what's called a range. This particular range is a drop-in. This won't be demonstrated for what I'm fixing to tell you, but if this was a freestanding range, it would be equipped with what's called an anti-tipping device. An anti-tipping device is typically installed so as when the oven door is open and a child may get on top of your oven door while in the down position, it won't tip forward. This microwave is a hood microwave combination. The range hood in the residential construction in the current codes are no longer required. They are a pleasant thing and a nice thing to have, but they're not a requirement anymore. On these homes, they are required by code to have a receptacle located on the front and the back of every structure. These receptacles are required to be GFCI protected, the same as if they were in a bathroom or in the kitchen. On the exterior of the home, the receptacles could be required to have what's called an in-use box cover, or a bubble box, as a lot of people like to refer to it. On every structure, you're going to have an electrical service. The electrical service could be in one or two different applications. One will be with an exterior disconnect. The reason for the exterior disconnect is because the code requires that there be no unfused circuit running to a remote location in the house. So here in this case, they do have what's considered to be an exterior disconnect. One flick of this switch and all the power in the home is gone. This is what's called an exterior spigot or faucet. These will be the frost-free type, which will extend 6 to 8 inches into the home and be insulated so as it won't freeze in the wintertime. Okay, as we were speaking earlier on the house, this is a receptacle that is designed to service the unit that is here. It's supposed to be within 25 feet of this unit. As you can see, it's well within that 25 feet mark. It is commonly referred to as a convenience receptacle. These are just a few of the things that we look for to ensure a home meets the minimum code requirements. Now, building codes can change every 3 years, so if you ever have any questions about the current code requirements in Richland County, give us a call at 576-2140 or visit our website at rcgov.us/devserve.